Yo, Meaty Magic magicians, meander off that old dusty trail and onto the Lotus fields, brothers. Because today we're making decks for Meaty Magic. That's right, Hunter, Harry, Nick, and Nick are all getting decks, baby. So if that sounds fun to you, and if you feel like spamming them with this video, don't do that. Stop thinking about that. Don't do that. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into our 4 candidates for these decks. Up first, Hunter, Mr. Meaty Magic himself. Loose with the rules, quick to anger, alcoholic, known to illustrate questionable cartoons. Met once at a Denny's, was kind of a dick. Likes Jund, hates CEDH, good man. And then Harry, Nick, and Nick, friends with Meat Canyon. No, I'm playing, alright? You guys are the real stars of this show, dude. Harry, lacks backbone. Location has not been confirmed on January 6th. Likes to play all 4 decks at once. Loves complex gameplay and mechanics. Does the Brian Kibler hand shuffle. Watch out, folks. Super knowledgeable of the game. Nick, with just a K. Uncle makes goated music. Total stud. Misses triggers and forgets constantly. Still, total stud. Cheater. Shits pure chocolate milk exclusively. And then Nick, with a CK. Fat. Asian. No, handsome as hell. Quiet and tends to get targeted a lot. Oh, we're talking about the Meaty Magic, Nick, not me? Yeah, kind of the same thing, honestly, dude. I honestly feel for you. We're not hurting nobody. We're just trying to play our decks, and everyone's like, counterspell that, kill that, exile that. What the ever, dude. Whatever, dude. Okay, let's start by deciding which commander I gave to each of these guys. And also, let's start by establishing, I don't know these people at all. So any attempt for me to be like, well, I've seen Meaty Magic wearing this shirt, and he sometimes says this, and references this, so I bet he likes these, just comes across creepy and parasocial. So I'm just gonna give them a commander I think they would like. I've watched some Meaty Magic, a couple of them have referenced like decks they like playing. That's what I'm going with. Cool? Cool. So, Hunter, Mr. Meaty Magic himself, gets Carter Doomscourge. Harry, the brains of the operation, gets Elsha, Threefold Master. Nick, the forgetful stud, gets Jasmine Boreal of the 7, so he never has to worry about forgetting anything ever again. And then finally Nick, with a CK. Well, Nick, you're finally going to get some redemption. You're going to go metal as hell, Graveyard Synergy, Grixis. We're popping off this game with Cedrus the Traitor King, dude. Trust. And if you don't agree with me, I really don't care. There's not a lot more to go off of here, again, without just being, like, totally weird. Just, oh, he didn't like when that guy played that card. Gonna not want to include that. Come on. You know what I mean? I've gotten where I am with my gut, and my gut's telling me that they're gonna like these commanders. So deal with it. So let's jump into Hunter's Carter Doomscourge list. Baby. Hunter's commander is Carter Doomscourge, being 2, a black, and a red. Also, before we get into anything, metal as our metal as hell name. Like, this both feels like, I feel like Hunter will wear a t-shirt with this on it. That boy's a 4/3 demon berserker, and when he enters the battlefield, until your next turn, creatures your opponents control have to attack each other. If they can, they gotta be breaking each other's skulls. And whenever an attacking creature dies, each opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. That's right. So if there's a token deck at the table and you drop this, and you make like 12 of their tokens swing, yeah, if any of those die, each opponent's gonna lose 1. People are gonna be losing life and attacking each other. Carter is extraordinarily overpowered. I'm convinced this card is actually so busted, and it's gonna be so fun to watch the other 3 players just beat the hell out of each other while Hunter watches, I feel like. So that's gonna be good. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is forced combat. First of all, we have a ton of goad cards like Agitator Ant, which lets opponents put 2 1/1 counters on a creature they control and also goad that creature. Baloth Baratil makes every creature that's smaller than him power-wise goaded. Bothersome Quasit turns each non-creature spell we cast into a goad. Disrupt Decorum is another Carter Doomscourge on a sorcery. It just goads all creatures. Frenzied Gorespawn goads a creature for each player when it enters. Geode Rager goads everything whenever a land enters. Yeah, it's just as overpowered as it sounds. Krazakill goads something whenever you attack. Life of the Party gives a Life of the Party token to every player, and they're all goaded. Cypher Blom Rival goads a creature when it attacks. And then whenever a creature attacking one of your opponents becomes blocked by 2 or more creatures, that attacking creature gains Death Touch. Yeah, so stuff's gonna get through. Shiny Impetus goads an enchanted creature and gives you treasures when it attacks. attacks. Yeah, Spectacular Showdown. How about 1 and a red to put a double strike counter on something and goad it, or pay 4 and 3 red to overload it and do that to everything you don't control. Yeah, have fun ending the game. And then finally, Vengeful Ancestor, 2 and 2 red, 3/4 flying. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, goad target creature. Whenever a goaded creature attacks, it deals 1 damage to its controller. You can quickly see how games are going to quickly descend into absolute chaos with this one. And we're not even close to done. Do you want to drop a Conjurer's Closet with Carter? Being a 5-drop artifact that blinks a creature on your end step, will that be good in our deck to blink Carter on all of our turns and just keep the opponent's stuff goaded? I would think so. And Helm of the Host, making a copy of the equipped creature every turn, same deal. Getting a Carter trigger every turn, absolutely disgusting. And if our opponents don't have creatures, we have some ways to give them creatures. Goblin Spymaster will start giving our opponents 1/1 goblins. That also forces all their creatures to attack. Hunted Horror gives us a 7/7 for 2 with Trample that will just give an opponent 2 3/3 green centaurs, and Slaughter Specialist gives us a 3/3 for 2 that gives each opponent a 1/1 human, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a 1/1 counter on Slaughter Specialist. So if they don't have creatures we can goad, we can just go ahead and give them to them. And while all this is going on, we run Salt in the Wound cards like Blood Artist. Whenever a creature dies, target player loses 1 and you gain 1. Curse of Opulence, throw that on a player, so whenever anybody attacks that player, they get a gold token. Descent into Avernus, everyone gets treasures, everyone takes massive damage every upkeep, and that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Again, adding to the whole, hey, this game has a timer aspect of this deck. Frontier Warmonger. Hey, if any of your opponents are attacking other of your opponents, their creatures are going to get menace. Massacre Worm has an opponent lose 2 life whenever a creature dies. Sower of Discord. How about this? When it enters the battlefield, choose 2 players. When damage is dealt to one of those players, the other chosen player loses that much life. Okay, sure. And then finally, Lord of Pain. 3 black, red, 5/5 menace. Your opponents can't gain life. Whenever an opponent casts their first spell each turn, choose another target player. Lord of Pain deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to the chosen player. Oh yeah, and we also run Valgavoth because this is just a dude that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and draw you more and more and more cards, and if someone wants to target it, they're going to have to pay life, and in a goad deck with some group slug sub-themes, that pay 2 life is going to be pretty hard for a lot of players. Look, if anybody over at Meaty Magic, I really doubt it's going to happen, considers using these decks, feel free to copy them and change whatever you want to like make it more enjoyable for like a video or something. But the idea, still there. I think this is a great deck for Hunter. But yeah, if you want to get a full look at this full deck list, there's a Moxfield link down below. But with that, we're going to move on to Nick's Jasmine Boreal deck. Jasmine Boreal is 1, a green and a white for a 2/4. Tapper to add a white and a green. Spend this mana only to cast creatures with no abilities. Creatures you control with no abilities can't be blocked by creatures with abilities. Yeah, that's right. It's a no abilities deck. You're not going to miss much trigger. You're not going to miss many triggers in this deck because there's not many triggers or abilities. Or the thing is that's weird about this deck, that sounds boring, I've playtested this deck a few times, the deck absolutely smacks. It actually beat the other 3 of these decks a couple times when I was playtesting, and there's actually a ton of cool stuff in it, so don't let that be a deterrent. So let's jump into it. First off, we're gonna need some vanilla creatures, so something like Cheeky House Mouse, a 1 white 2/1 that also has like a buff and evasion adventure side to it. Elite Vanguard, one of my favorite cards of all time, 1 white for a 2/1. Expedition Envoy, 1 white for a 2/1. Garruk's Gorehorn. I hate that name. Gorehorn? Ew. 4 and a green for a 7/3. Gigantosaurus, 5 for a 10/10. Grizzled Leoto? Whatever. 2 for a 1/5. Indomitable Ancients, 2 and 2 white for a 2/10. Ismaru, 1 white for a 2/2. Jasmine Boreal, 5 for a 4/5. Colonial Tusker, 2 green for a 3/3. You get the idea. Leatherback Baloth, 3 green, 4/5. Yeah, you get it. Just a ton of stuff that is vanilla, very cheap to play. The most something cost in this deck is 5, and they just have really good power and toughness stat lines. But you know what else counts as vanilla creatures? Tokens that don't have any abilities. So something like Call of the Conclave, making us a 3/3 green centaur for 2 is pretty good. Call of the Copper Coast, making us a 1/1 human for each creature target player controls. Crash the Party creates a tapped 4/4 rhino creature token for each tapped creature we control, which, yeah, that's going to be pretty gross with Jasmine because, oh yeah, all of our creatures with no abilities can't be blocked by creatures with abilities, which is like every creature ever. I don't remember the last time I've seen a vanilla creature be played. Curious Herd, how about this? Choose target opponent, create X 3/3 green beast where X is the number of artifacts that player controls. Someone just made like 7 treasures. You're like, I'll make 7 3/3s that all can't be blocked. Sorry about you. Elspeth Sun's Champion acts as a board wipe, a board buff, and creates 3/1/1 soldiers whenever we need them, which is fantastic. We've got Grand Crescendo to make X tokens, secure the waste to do the same. Garruk Primal Hunter can just start pumping out 3/3 Beast, or Sandworm Convergence late game can start pumping out 5/5 Worms, all of which count as vanilla creatures, all of which can't be blocked by creatures with abilities, all of which busted in this deck. But that's not it though. We're going to be going wide as hell with the amount of vanilla creatures we're playing, so we're going to need some board protection. Wrap and Vigor will regenerate all of our creatures. Unbreakable Formation will give all of them indestructible. Make a Stand will give them all indestructible. Heroic Intervention will give all of them hexproof and indestructible, and Dawn's Truce will give them all hexproof and indestructible. On top of all of this, the deck does pretty good at just dealing a consistent amount of damage, but we also run a small buff package because being able to buff this go wide strategy is going to be pretty good. So something like Beastmaster's Ascension giving our whole board +5/+5 when it reaches 7 counters, sure. Or a card like Muraganda Petroglyphs being perfect for this deck, being 3 and a green enchantment. Creatures with no abilities get +2/+2. Wait a second, that's what we run. Same goes for Ruxa, 2 and 2 green, 4/4. When it enters or attacks, return target creature card with no abilities from your graveyard to your hand. Good recursion. Creatures you control with no abilities get +1/+1. Yikes. You may have creatures you control with no abilities assign their combat damage as though they weren't blocked. So if Jasmine's not in play, Ruxa's just a straight up backup commander. Unnatural Growth will just double the power and toughness of all of our creatures, which again, if in this deck we're playing a 2-drop 3/3, that we can make a 2-drop 6/6 with Unnatural Growth? Sure. And then finally, Zap and Drill does the same thing. It'll double our power and toughness of our creatures, and it can get indestructible, and it itself is a 4/6 reach, potentially indestructible. Really gross. Like I said, this one's actually an absolute powerhouse, so watch out for that one if you guys end up playing these. Full deck list for all the stuff we're going to talk about down below. So with that, we're going to move on to Harry's Elsha Threefold Master deck. Elsha Threefold Master is a blue, a red, and a white for a 1/1, trample, prowess, which means whenever we cast a non-creature spell, she gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And whenever Elsha deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 white monk creature tokens with prowess. Yikes. Now, weirdly enough, this is kind of a token deck because she makes so many tokens, but we don't run any token creators because it felt redundant. Her output is insane. She is the focus of this deck, okay? We're trying to buff her, protect her, bash face, flood the board with 1/1s that continue to get buffed because they have prowess. So let me tell you how we go about doing that. First thing we're going to need to do is buff Elsha. We need to make sure that she is hitting and she's hitting hard. So we've got one-time use effect buffs like Blazing Crescendo, which gives a +3/+1, Brute Force, which gives a +3/+3, or Fist of Flames, which draws us a card and gives the creature a +1/+0 and trample for each card we've drawn this turn. We've also got some ways to apply reoccurring buffs like Balmor Battle Mage Captain, giving us a board-wide +1/+0 whenever we cast an instant or sorcery, or something like Shu Yun the Silent Tempest, giving a creature we control double strike whenever we cast a non-creature spell, which will interact great with our commander. And of course, one of the best things we can do is give our commander double strike with something like Psychotic Fury or Temur Battle Rage. Or just cut out the middleman and bulk it up and double its power until end of turn. Why not? It's also got flashback, pretty nuts. My favorite in this deck though is Blackblade Reforged, to just throw this on your commander and it'll consistently get bigger and bigger for the more lands you have, even on turn 5, turning your commander into a 6/6 trample, prowess, make a ton of 1/1s. Yeah, it seems pretty good. The next thing is, yes, our commander does have trample, and a lot of the time she is big enough for a lot of the damage to trample over, but we will want some like big heavy hitting turns where we make a ton of tokens guaranteed. So stuff like Distortion Strike, Enter the Enigma, or Slip Through Space will deliver a one-time use unblockability until end of turn, while also being instants and sorceries to trigger her prowess. Or we can have more reoccurring forms of unblockability like Rogue's Passage being on a land, or Trailblazer's Boots being an equipment that offers non-basic land walk, which, let's be honest, everyone has a non-basic land in play, always. And then, of course, the deck runs Impact Tremors and War Leader's Call because pinging whenever a mass amount of 1/1s come into play seems pretty good, and those are the two best ones to do it. Now, I hear what you're saying. If our commander's this important, Nick, what happens if someone just removes it? That's why we run a pretty sizable protection package to protect our commander. We run counter spells like an Offer You Can't Refuse, Counterspell, or Negate to stop removal spells from even being played in the first place, along with instants and sorceries that offer one-time protection like Magic Damper giving hexproof, Octopus Form, giving hexproof. Secret Identity is really good in here, turning it into a 1/1 with hexproof, or turning it into a 3/4 with flying and vigilance, which turning our commander into a 3/4 flying vigilance will trigger prowess and turn our commander immediately into a 4/5 for 1 blue. That seems pretty good. Shore Up gives a 1 blue hexproof, and Slip Out the Back gives a 1/1 counter and phases it out, so protection with a built-in buff. Perfect for this deck. Oh, and did I mention that the deck runs Zada Hedron Grinder? So whenever you play any of our like Monstrous Rage type cards, all of our tokens are also going to get a copy of that targeting them. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Listen, I don't want to be the guy that says Elsha's busted. Oh, she seems a little busted. You know what I mean? And it seems right up your aisle. Harry, and who doesn't love a Harry Isle? Full Moxfield link to the deck down below. And with that, we're going to move on to Nyx with a CK's Cedrus the Traitor King deck. This one's spicy. Cedrus the Traitor King is 3, a blue, a black, and a red for a 5/5. Each creature card in your graveyard has Unearth, 2 and a black, which means you can pay 2 and a black to return that creature card into play. It gains haste, and you remove it from the game at the end of turn, or if it were to leave play, Unearth only as a sorcery. Yeah, so stuff like Archon of Cruelty, if it's in your graveyard, is 2 and a black to get it back into play with haste. Oh, and wouldn't you look at that, it has an enter the battlefield and an attack trigger, so that's just absolutely disgusting in this deck. Inferno Titan, Frost Titan, Grave Titan, all of them have ETB and attack triggers, all of them disgusting in Cedrus with his Unearth ability. That's not near all of them. We have a Tali Primal Storm, so you can get her attack and exile off the top of everyone's deck and play it for free ability the turn she comes out. Metamorphosis Fanatic, so you can have that ETB and just bring back something else out of your graveyard. Sepulchral Primordial to rip some stuff out of opponent's graveyard, but that is not where this deck gets super interesting to me. We have a small kit of cards. We have a small kit of cards that actually lets you keep the creatures we unearthed. We have Obeka Brute Chronologist, who taps to end the turn, which, yes, gets around at the end of turn, in fact, so unearthed creatures will actually stay around. Same goes for Sundial of the Infinite. Tap, pay 1, end the turn. And Teferi's Veil, interestingly enough, 1 and a blue, whenever any creature you control attacks, it phases out at the end of combat. So if we attack with one of these unearthed creatures, it'll phase out and not exist until our next turn. So unearth doesn't see anything to have to get rid of, comes back, we get to keep the creature. But we need ways to put those creatures in our graveyard, so we run stuff like Buried Alive to search for 3 creatures, put them into grave. Card draws like Frantic Search to draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards to get rid of creatures in our hand. Cards like Ripples of Undeath to mill 3 cards at the beginning of our upkeep and then pick from them if we want to and put them into our hand. All great ways to mill the graveyard. And there's plenty more than that, but let's get into the interesting stuff, the reanimation in this deck, dude. Because outside of the Unearth with our commander, we can just straight up reanimate a lot of the stuff we're milling, and why not want to do that? So, Animate Dead, 1 and a black, animate something out of a graveyard, enchantment aura. Same goes for Dance of the Dead. Doom Necromancer, 2 and a black, 2/2, pay 1 black, tap it, sack it, reanimate something from our grave. Dread Return, 2 and 2 black, reanimate, flashback, sack 3 creatures. Escape Containment or Incarnation Technique is one of my favorites, being 4 and a black, mill 5 cards, then return a creature card from your graveyard into play, but it's got Demonstrate, so you can let an opponent do this, and then you get to do it again, so you get to see a total of 10 new cards in your graveyard, and reanimate 2 that don't even have to be a part of the 10 you milled, it's just in your graveyard. Exhume is 1 in a black, and it lets everybody reanimate a creature from their graveyard. Kaervek lets you bring back one of your black instant or sorcery cards whenever you commit a crime, so cards like Persist, which can get a non-legendary creature with a neg1, or a card like Reanimate, which can just get a creature for 1 black and lose life equal to its CMC, or Victimize, which can get back 2 creatures if we sack 1, can all be brought back to our hand with Kaervek if we commit a crime, so very good way to reanimate. And I didn't know where to put this one, but Sneak Attack's in here for sure, because why wouldn't we want to just cheat out some fat creatures from our hand and then have to sack him at the end of turn? And shit, we might even be able to like Sundial of the Infinite to keep the creature we sneak attack. But even if we can't, we run plenty of reanimation to just get the creature back. And we run a commander with Unearth. Sneak Attack's just busted in this list, honestly. Again, if you want to take a full look at any of the decks we talked about today, they're down below in the description. That's about it. Love the content over at Meaty Magic. I've been really enjoying watching that. That's some of the only like Magic gameplay stuff I've actually been liking to play recently. And that's because you guys don't really... what's the word I'm looking for? Completely cringe me out. So that's always good. I don't know if I can say the same about me for you guys, but that's not the point of the video. Let me know what you would add to these decks, what you would take out. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to show some additional support, you can head over to nixlotus.com to try out our Scryfall search optimization tool or pick up some merch. You can go ahead and rock Teneb the Harvester, the Reanimation Dragon on your clothes now, dude. Or if you want to become a YouTube member or Patreon member, it starts as low as $1 a month, and you can submit some of your commander decks for me to do Friday night deck reviews with. So if that sounds fun, do it, dude. Life motto. If that sounds fun, do it, dude. Thanks for watching the video. I will see you guys on Monday. Peace.